David, thank you very much. Your hot take on the Elgin Marbles debate.
Well, you actually put your finger on it with the name George Osborne, an extraordinary slippery creature who is largely responsible for the chaos in the NHS, because behind closed doors, he altered the rules on NHS pensions, which is why doctors all start retiring in their 50s. Now, what I smell is something that was very much part of the last segment of the programme, things being done behind closed doors. George Osborne is talking to somebody. Something will pop out, like a rabbit from a hat. What we should be doing instead, of course, is having a clear debate about what the principles are. Why should we return them? There needs to be a clear public debate led by those who are responsible. That's Osborne. It's the Prime Minister, it's the General Board of the British Museum, it's the Director. And they need to set out clear principles. I mean, the first one is the one that you touch. There is no question of ownership about these things. There's no question that these things were stolen. The Greek state did not exist. There is no connection between the Greek state now and Athens in 1799, when Elgin first went there, and 1801 when the removal actually started. There is just no connection. There's also, we're using a false analogy. One of the great problems with all culture wars debates is we say, oh, this is what we did with what in this case, Jewish property. So there's this narrow argument about ownership. See, I would put it completely the other way around. The marbles are first known when they're in London. They first enter into the cultural mainstream of Europe when they're in London. If they'd remained in this obscure, tumble-down little village, most of them would have been destroyed. Remember, there were only fragments surviving in 1799.
David, just on that, actually, it's an important point, because the Elgin Marbles is just one of numerous different things that people keep telling us to give back, give back, give back. Actually, should some of these people be grateful for the fact that we've looked after them so well?
Yes, they should, but it's much more important than that, Patrick. As I said, these things become part of the general culture of the world, not when they're left neglected, crumbling, being chipped away, being burned for lime in an obscure village on the edge of the Ottoman Empire. They do it when they're brought to the cultural centre of the world in London. And it's not just the same with the Elgin Marbles. It's the same with the Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone was a corner of a stable when it was found in Egypt by the French. It's then there's this struggle between the French and the English to set up a world museum as well as a world empire. We win. It's brought to London, and it's French and it's English scholars who decipher it, not Egyptians. The whole of the Egyptian task is invented in Europe. The Benin bronze that everyone's going on about, they only matter because they're brought to London. But is this all part like Picasso, and they go back into the mainstream? So should we be talking about cultural property? And the culture is here, it's European. The history of the world is invented here in Europe, and particularly in London.